Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. So today I wanted to talk about getting smarter and a bit more savvier with your food shopping and also how that benefits your health because if we're a bit smarter about our food shopping, we're making better choices with food and that's going to benefit you and your family in every way. I know lots of talk around food prices going up and different things like that at the moment. And, some people feel concerned about that stuff, but I really think that you can choose to be a little bit savvier with your food shopping and use some of my tips that I've got for you today to keep your costs down, but also still be really, really healthy with your food. I read a statistic a few years ago that we chuck, and it really, really totally changed my mind as to how I look at food and everything. Is that I read that we throw out 50% of our food shop. So, depending on how much, if you spend, let's say you spend $300 a week on your food shopping, that's $150 that you are throwing down the drain. And I know there's people that spend more or there's people that spend less depending on the size of your family and all of that. But it's quite a lot if you're throwing it out and you're throwing it down the drain. So I really try really, really hard to really go through the food that I have and not throw out and be smart about what I'm buying and not, pre-plan stuff and all of that. So then I'm not wasting food because I would prefer, if I'm chucking out half of my food shop every week, I would prefer to spend that on a holiday or put it towards something for my family instead of just throwing it in the bin, So here are some of the things that I do with my shopping. I think I've got about nine or so little tips here, 9 or 10, I think. So I pre-plan. So I pre-plan everything, and I recommend this to everybody because when you're pre-planning your food, you are also going to make better choices. You can make sure if you are looking at your macros or any of those things, you can make sure, you plan your food out for you and your family and make sure you've got you're getting the right amounts of your protein, fats and carbs, those types of things. So I pre-plan. When you kind of have your pre-plan, when you plan it out, then you can you make a list, then you also feel more organized when you're making it because you just go, you don't have to think, what am I going to make for dinner? What am I doing? No, you just got it there, right? We're having this tonight and that's it. So I always kind of pre-plan and have a bit of a plan in my head. I also, look to shop online. So when I'm shopping online, when I go and shop online, I shop when I've made my list and I've pre-planned my food out. I tend to spend less money because I'm not grabbing those extra kind of things that you see. And as we all kind of know, the shops tailor things and they put things in certain areas to catch your eye. That's called marketing. That's what they do. So when I shop online, I always spend less money. And when I shop to my plan, I tend to have less wastage as well. So pre-planning is massive. I know people, when they always say they feel so much better, their week runs smoother, they tend to, eat healthier when they have a plan. So I'll use my night, for example. If I had a plan last night, which I didn't, I didn't have a plan last night. We ended up, my son has a broken leg. We ended up being stuck at the hospital quite a long time. His leg was broken weeks ago, but he's had to be getting different casts on. So he had to get a new cast on yesterday, and we were stuck at the hospital, and we ended up having to get takeaway. That's fine. But if I had a plan of what I was going to put something in the slow cooker, and I ran out of time and I didn't do it. So if I was that little bit more organised, and I would have had that, which then would have prevented me from getting takeaway. And I just got takeaway because of the ease and what was going on in my night at that time. That was the best option that I wanted, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if I had followed through with my plan and I'd put the things in the slow cooker, then it would have made my life a lot easier when I came home. I also got the takeaway because my dad had to pick up Charlie. Long story. My dad had to pick up Charlie because we were at the hospital longer than expected, and he got her a takeaway. So I had to balance it out and give Cooper something too. So anyway, but pre-planning is really important, and it makes a big difference. So also, as part of that kind of pre-planning tip, and this kind of goes into the second one as well, is shopping online. So when you shop online, I always spend less money. And when you shop online, you can also check out the specials. So you could kind of be looking between all the different food shops, and you could look at what the specials are. So lots of times there's if we're looking at a protein focus, there's YoPro yogurts. Now, most weeks between Coles and Woolworths, there is one of them that are on sale. So you can choose between them, which, generally a lot of the times they're nearly half price. So, you're going to want to be a bit more savvier and look between the two, and you could spend your time just having a quick look online between the two, and then you can choose which ones. I also love that when I shop online, I just go and pick it up, and it saves me so much time. So I just go and I just, message them when I'm out the front, and then they bring it to me, and it saves me so much time. So you can also just have a quick look at the specials between the shops, and you can buy what's on special at that time. So definitely shopping online and looking at specials can be, when I see things that I know, we tend to buy things that we like. But when I see things that I buy regularly, so that are like when they're on special, then I'll buy a few of them, and kind of put them away. So then I know that I've got them there. I also look at, for food, I call them quick wins. So they're foods that, like maybe some protein bars, the ones that I know that suit me and my body, and I'll look for them and I'll grab them on the go. But again, I'll look for the ones that are on special, and when they're on special, I'll buy lots of them and then I just know that I've got them there. So looking at specials is always going to be smarter and save you some money. The next thing, I was surprised a couple of weeks ago, someone was talking, and we had some food that we were making, a soup recipe that we'd put out and making it, and they were scared to buy frozen food. So my third tip is buy fruit that's in fruit and veg that's in season. So obviously when it's in season, it's going to be cheaper for you. So look at the fruit and veg that is in season. But also, if you're looking for something, don't be scared to get frozen vegetables. It blew me away that somebody didn't buy frozen veg. I also, again, just sometimes how my life works, having frozen veg is good because it's obviously not going to go off. And, I find it easy. So having that frozen veg there is always a great option. So don't be scared of going and looking at the frozen veg and getting some things from there. There is nothing wrong with that. And especially, I think the soup it needed broccoli, and broccoli was like, it was really expensive at the time. But I just bought frozen. The other thing is, what I do a lot is you can buy, so I try to chuck spinach in everything, because I just think the more greens you can get, the better. So in, smoothies and whatever, I'm always trying to chuck spinach, but you can buy frozen spinach. So I use the frozen spinach. And again, life's not perfect. We don't have to be perfect, but there's just some of these options. So I buy them, and they're like 99 cents for a little packet. So I buy that, and have that. I always use that for my smoothies and stuff like that. So I use that. Choose the fruits the fruit and veg that's in season, and don't be scared of buying frozen veg. Go look at the frozen veg. It can be great for you. It may be less expensive. So look at that. I generally buy, depending on, but berries for smoothies and all of that stuff, I'll use the frozen berries. My fourth tip is, don't be also scared of adding in some like tin food. So, you can add in like your pulses and all of that stuff to your meat meals. So I always, if you're eating a meat meal, so I always use, I try to bulk my meals out with veg, because, I just think you can never get enough vegetables. And I always try to think about the different vegetables I'm using for my kids, so then they're getting a variety, and I just stick. And I notice when, let's say when we go away and you don't have, if we go away somewhere and I don't have the food that I normally would have at home, how much they do suffer, because my kids, they're getting a lot better as they're getting older, but a lot of the times I still have to kind of hide vegetables. So you can also add in, like your pulses and that type of stuff, like into bolognese. You can add different pulses, lentils, or those types of things, and that will also give them lots of nutrients. And it's maybe sometimes that can be cheaper options for you as well. So don't be scared of using, like your pulses or any of those things, and you can add them into your meals, which is going to be a cheaper source of protein for you. So that's another tip that you can use. I also make sure that I used to, years ago, so I used to buy like block of cheese, and then I would buy grated cheese and all of this other stuff. So now, and then before I realized that the grated cheese, they add something in the preservatives into it to keep it to store it longer. So now I don't buy any of that stuff, and I only buy a block, and then I will grate the block myself. So I have a Thermomix. It's really easy to grate it in the Thermomix, so I'll do it that way. I also know that there's like less crap in that. So with cheese, instead of buying, lots of different types, you can obviously just buy one block of cheese and you can grate it yourself, which will be better for you. You're going to spend less money on it, and it's going to be better for you because the cheese doesn't have any crap in it. So that is something else that I also do. That's something else I also do. So my sixth tip was shopping online, which we talked about before, which when we're looking at the specials, but I always, I always spend less money when I shop online. I stick to my plan when I'm shopping online. So I can't recommend that enough. And the time it saves you, I can sit down, I can look in my pantry, I can be like, I have this, I have that. I can really make, informed decisions, instead of when I'm in the shop, I'm like, oh, just get this in case, because I don't want to have to come back. I also try to not go back to the shops. I try to only go once a week, because again, but it just depends on how my week runs, because I know if I go back, it's going to be like $100. I know if I go back, I'm going to grab this, and the money's going to end up adding up. So I try not to do this. Me and my little brother, we used to, we still sometimes do it, but we used to kind of like have a little joke with each other. My little brother's a chef, so he can make anything, anything out of anything and make it amazing. But we'll kind of be like, how long can you go without going to the shops? How empty can we get our fridge? And one day I think he said to me, he's like, oh, I took it a little bit too far. And because he's a chef, he knows how to mix things and make it all taste amazing. And I think he had like onions and something left, and he's like, oh, it was, he said he had practically nothing left. He tried to make something, but it was a bit of a disaster. But so shopping online is definitely saves you a lot of money. My seventh tip would be to empty the fridge before you go shopping. So as I said at the start, that there is when I read that statistic that we throw out 50% of our food shop. So before I go food shopping, I try to go through my fridge again. So I'll either try to go through my fridge and, obviously when I'm planning, make sure I go I have this, I have that, or I go through and I go, okay, what can I make with what I have left? And I try to use that and make that stuff up before I buy more food. And I've been doing this since I read that statistic, and it has definitely, made me a lot. It's definitely made me more savvier with my shopping, and I don't have hardly any wastage of food. So I try to use, I use the freezer a lot. So I'll make things up, I'll make sauces and I'll freeze them. So then we have nights when we're busy that you can just grab that stuff. So I use that a lot. I use that a lot. And going through the fridge and then, cooking that up, and then I freeze things. I make sauces up in bulk. It's also time saving. So the time it takes me to make a sauce for one meal, I could make the same sauce for 10 meals. And then I can freeze, 9 portions of that. Then I don't have to think about it for a while. And it also means when you're on nights, like I said, like the night that I had last night, if my dad my dad did great, but if my dad hadn't already bought Charlie a takeaway, I would have just been able to take out a meal that I'd already pre-made, because I'll freeze my rice too. My kids like lots of stuff with rice, so it's sauces and rice. So I'll make lots of different sauces and I'll have them frozen. I can take them out and reheat them, and it takes me 5-10 minutes, and I know they've got a good nutritious meal. That's not junk food. So go through your fridge and empty it out before you go food shopping. You'll find that you're not buying double the stuff. You'll find that you're not wasting food. So that's something that I religiously do before I do my next food shop. Another tip is buying things in bulk. So, buying you could buy your meat in bulk. Again, you need to have the space to store it. Buy different other products in bulk. The only issue that I find sometimes is storage. So, if you have the freezer space or the cupboard space for things, it's making sure that you have that space for the space to store the stuff. So when I also go shopping, another tip that I'd learned years ago was I really try not to go down many of the middle aisles, because, a lot of that stuff is more processed stuff. So I kind of try to just stick to the outsides, and get what I need. I get what I need. But, when we go to, again, life is not perfect. So there's a butcher that we go to when we can, and I'll try to buy lots of stuff there, because then I don't have to go back again. and I can freeze it, and then that might last for a couple of weeks or so. Another lady, she was telling me she goes to the same butcher, but she buys her meat for a month. So she knows what she needs for a month. She buys it for a month. I'm not that organised, but that's pretty cool. There is also, like another fruit and veg place, so I try to go there, but I try to go there when I'm down that way, because it's about 15 minutes from where I live. So it's just planning stuff and buying stuff in bulk, and it always does tend to save you money when you buy it that way. I've never done it, but I know people that have, bought whole cows and all that other stuff, and that's obviously quite saved you money. My next tip is try not to buy your pre-made sauces and jars. And I did this a few years ago. I don't really I have a Thermomix which makes things a lot easier, but even before I had the Thermomix, I still did this. But I don't buy any, I don't really buy many jars and sauces of stuff. I try to make everything myself. You firstly know what's in your food. You know what you're putting in there. We can obviously hide extra vegetables and all that for your kids, which is something I have to do all the time. You're getting lots of different nutrients, but again, you know what you're eating, less preservatives. And unfortunately these days there is so much crap added into the food to keep it longer on the shelf life, or to bulk it out so then they can make it cheaper and get more profit from it. So I try to make 99% of stuff myself. I even make my own stock, and that stuff which I use, I make my own stock from leftovers, and then I freeze that. So that's another thing that you can do. The Thermomix does make life very easy. But yeah, I was kind of brought up on, jars of sauces and all those other things. But, now I make everything myself. I try to make everything myself. And at first, when you're first doing it, if you're buying different herbs and spices, that can be an expense, but once you've got them, you've got them. So I definitely make all that stuff myself instead of buying. If you buy a jar or something, it might be $3 or $4 for the jar. You also don't know what's in it, and it just adds up, and plus then you're eating crap. So try to make your things yourself. Once you get your head around it, it's not that hard. And also, when I'm making stuff myself, I am making up sauces or any of those things, I utilize what I have. I'm not very good at following a recipe. So I know there's people that need to follow the recipe to the T. I'm not good at that. I am good at utilizing kind of what I have. And so then I'll look in my fridge and I'll be like, right, I'm going to use this. So I don't want to waste that. So I kind of utilize that type of stuff when I'm making my sauces. So my last tip is utilizing leftovers. Don't waste food, because if the way that I see it is that if you could save, if we're chucking out 50% of our food shop, if you can save it on buying, you can buy things that you can, if you save that money and you can spend it on a holiday for your family or quality time together or doing something, that's so much more important. So I do utilize leftovers, and I make them into something else, or I use that with, the next day. So I really try not to throw out and waste food, and that definitely makes a difference. So yeah, use your leftovers and create it into something for the next day. And the more you start doing it, you'll get creative. I've really had to teach myself, how to cook. My mum she wasn't someone that probably spent a lot of time cooking. We were kind of a lot of packet stuff and all that, which is all fine. When my brother, who's a chef, we joke because people say, oh, if they're your mum's recipe that you really loved, but she just, she was kind of more like a jar of sauce and pasta type person, and that's what we kind of grew up on. So I've had to really teach myself how to make a lot of food myself, and so if I can do it, anyone can. And it's once you get your head around it, it's not that, but really it's just being that bit more savvier about your food shop and all of that. And I also have been savvier with my kids, because kids tend to waste a lot of stuff. And, they come home, a lot of days I come home and their lunchbox is full still and they haven't eaten it. And I was like, so I've been saying stuff, or I'll say you have to eat, when you get home you have to eat, if they're saying they're hungry, I was like, well, there's still food in your lunchbox. So I've got a bit stricter with that stuff, because I just hate seeing food. I hate seeing food wasted. And, it's so I'll say to them, so I'm being a bit savvier with them too, and savvier with the choices of food that we're putting in. I had we had an incident at soccer where a boy had eaten some twisties that he'd never had before, and it really set him hyper, and it really made me think. So now I stopped buying any of those kind of packety crisps and things to add into lunch boxes, and I've obviously making more stuff myself now. I just got into a phase of feeling busy and just being like, I can't do this, where it was wrong. Of course I can. And I I've got back into making everything myself. Like making their cakes and their cookies and that type of stuff. And it doesn't take that much time. I just got out of the habit, and I think it got a bit lazy. But I've started doing this, and again, then I know everything that they have. And for me, when you make stuff in bulk, so I make, instead of making just 12 cookies, you make 3 batches, or 12 muffins or whatever. You make 3 batches, and then I freeze them. And again, then I don't have to think about it for a few weeks, and then I remake them again. Guys, I understand the media and everything else, and everyone's going on about the shopping being food going up and prices and blah, blah. But, don't enter into that, okay? There is so much things that you could do, that you could be smarter about your food shopping, but it's also going to benefit you and your family, because you're going to have a plan, you're going to be eating food that you like, and you're going to feel better for it. All right, so hopefully this has helped someone today, and if you know somebody that would help, please share it to them, because the more that we share, the more that we can help people. And if this has helped you, please let me know, because I would really love to hear from you. All right, I'll speak to you all soon.